Hey guys, how's it going? It is Kire here with an Eternal Evolution video. So this is going to be my thoughts on the game, if I'm going to actually be covering this game on the channel. And so far, I've been really liking this game. I've been playing it for about 28 days. As you can see at the bottom here, that the collect again section that's like at the end of this 30-day login. So I've been playing it for about this long. Also, I do want to say just up front, I do have an affiliate link that does help me out financially if you guys would like to click the link down below and try this game out. So I just want to say this up front in the beginning. If you don't, not a big deal. I would have made this video anyway because I actually legitimately enjoy this game. But I also do have this link if you guys want to click that and try the game out. So far, the things I like about this game the most, I would say, is I feel like it has a really clean way. Well, there's actually quite a few things so far. So mainly when it comes to this game, it's an auto battler like this. This is the first genre that I played of this specific kind, these kind of idle heroes slash version AFK arena, I believe, kind of similar to that in this vein of a game. But it is also very similar in a lot of ways when it comes to building out your heroes and leveling people up, like a Raid Shadow Legends or an Infinite Magic Raid. It has like the typical system where you have gear sets and you have a gear that have rolls on it and stuff. And I really like those aspects of these games. But the things that I really like about this game over maybe Infinite Magic Raid or in Raid, for example, is what they got going for them is how they do the hero summons in this game. And also just in general, they do a good job, in my opinion, of progression that doesn't feel stagnant on particular situations. And then also they do a good job of making all your heroes relevant. So you're actually using a ton of heroes in here when it comes to who you choose to pick and then which team comps you have. They're all relevant based on the game modes. So like I've been really liking that aspect of Eternal Evolution. So you have these different game modes, for example, like these three on the left, Indisa Caves, Terra Dome, and Sonara Marsh. These are going to be like your typical dungeons there. But the things that I've been really liking is this like ancient altar thing where it's like you're challenging a essentially a raid boss, but it's really cool. Like, so check this out. So 3 bosses, and then you need to have 3 teams to be able to face this guy, which I think is really fun. So it's like you put your teams together. So mainly I'm just having like my main team of 3 there, but eventually if you're going to want to progress in the harder stages, you need to have multiple teams. And then what happens is as you get the multiple teams set up, like I can have these, and then what's going to happen is if I beat this boss, for example, or I do well against this boss, it's actually going to make this boss, this final boss, weaker. And then if I do against this boss, do well here, it makes this final boss weaker as well. And then the damage calculation is all on this one. So I really like this game mode. I think that's really cool. A really cool way to be able to introduce multiple characters into your rotation and actually make them relevant. And also another version of that is going to be Twilight Lands. I haven't been able to get to this yet because of how the servers are set up, where it's all kind of in a rotation. So I joined like a later server. So our server hasn't actually been able to do this yet. But watching other content creators like in JGigs or Dan Heilman and stuff, it's been really cool to be able to see how that content works. And it's very similar to Ancient Altar. And I think that's really fun. Then they have a lot of other events that come through. So far, the updates have been frequent and very good. They ended up adding this system here recently in the guild hunt that I've been liking a lot. It's kind of in that same vein where they have different bosses and you need to be able to have different teams to be able to combat those bosses. I like this a lot. And then it also, you use that to be able to boost up your character's stats here. To compare it directly to like Infinite Magic Raid, for example, is I feel like a lot of the progress would be you would just get completely gated by a particular hero, like you didn't have a shield remover, for example. Whereas I don't feel like that's necessarily the case in this game. Also, a lot of the tedious stuff gets taken out. Like, for example, in the arenas here, you can just go in and here, let's just do a normal arena battle. Let's say I want to face this guy here. And then you can just skip it. So you just skip it. You don't have to watch what happens. You just get to see if you win right there, and you don't have to waste your time if you don't have the time to play it. And I like it when they have these really nice quality of life features that make it to where if you want to really take your time and invest a ton of hours like building out a team or whatever, you can do that. But if you don't have the time to do that and you still want to stay relevant, you can also do that. So you're not feeling like you're missing out on anything. And then I also like how they do the dungeons where it's like you come in through here, and instead of having to auto battle a ton of them, what you do is you set how much energy you want to use, and then it's going to burn all that energy in one shot. So if you can beat it that one time, that counts as 10 times, and you don't have to worry about your energy getting depleted. Whereas in most of these games, if you go in here and you try using your energy, it's going to go away whether you win or lose, and you're going to need to do it. Each energy needs to be used, one battle at a time. So it's I guess really respectful of your time in that sense that I've been really liking as well. Also, the heroes are super free-to-play friendly in my opinion, because Taylor here, this guy is a very free-to-play accessible hero in my opinion, and he's awesome. And he's super useful in pretty much all content. And being able to have a character that's essentially like the equivalent of an epic in this game, I think is really cool that he's actually useful. To be honest, he's almost more useful than Emma, who's also kind of in that similar situation as a damage dealer, because he's mobile. And that's one of the interesting mechanics I think in this game is kind of lacking in like a raid or something, where it's like the actual map, you can move characters around the entire map. Like, so let me kind of give you an example here. So here, actually, let's just crank this. So you have the auto battle system here, but you can also control people. So in this one, you need to be able to do damage to this guy. But normally it's like, there's no actual moving of the characters in these games. It's all just kind of strategy. Whereas with Taylor, you can, other characters too, whether it be aiming the character itself or being able to move like your skill shots, for example, I can have him jump in here and now he's in. And then so now it's this damage dealer that gets to move around and be able to damage bosses and stuff. So I think this is actually a really cool mechanic to where you actually use the map. It's not just like kind of like, I don't know, old school Final Fantasy, where it's like a very strategy based game. It's like an actual, you can move around and stuff. And I think that's a cool concept there, which I really like. So here, I'm actually just going to back out here. And doing that, I didn't have to worry about losing any energy. See, I still have my 44 energy. I only waste it if I actually want to finish the attempt. Same with like Ancient Altar here. This is something that you can just go in and actually try stuff out and not have to worry about stuff, and actually be able to attempt it and see what's up. And also here too, like the rewards are sick. Like these are like actual like premium currency that you get a ton of just by playing the game. So I've been legitimately really happy with this game. And that's kind of the things that I've been liking about it. And then the things that are very similar, for example, to a Raid Shadow Legends or an Infinite Magic raid, would be stuff like going in here to your characters. So notice how you have the equipment here. This is, very similar to these games where you have your gear. And so like these are some of the roles that have happened. And then as you go through, you can either replace them and pick whichever ones you want. And then, for example, the right here, this is kind of convenient where you can organize this and then be able to like sort stuff out. Like, I just want stuff with crit rate and crit damage on it. Okay, boom, there it is. And then you move around, and this is very typical of these games, but I like that it has at least this aspect to it. I'm not too familiar with the other idle battlers. I don't know if they have this kind of gear system. I believe this is pretty standard, whether it be gacha games like, anyway, up to Genshin or even Raid. I believe this is pretty much standard, but I do like that it's in here because it's something I'm familiar with, and I like those kind of games. And then being able to kind of, but for the most part, the thing that really matters is like what kind of challenges are you actually going against, and are they engaging in fun? And I think the stuff that they have so far is actually really fun. Like being able to figure out which kind of characters you need to use for certain bosses. They have good buffs, for example, to make characters relevant. That's one thing I didn't mention here as well, where see, they have Heroes of the Week, which I'm covering with my face here, where these characters here are stronger, for example, for this week. So some of these characters are significantly more free-to-play friendly than others, so then they get a boost. So you can actually be a little bit more relevant with those characters in this game mode than you might not necessarily be in other weeks. And then the next week that they have this rotation, they'll have other Heroes of the Week that you can use and be able to have them be stronger, for example. So those are the things that I've been liking so far. Can't really think of any drawbacks yet. I haven't seen any massive paywalls yet that the game is trying to implement. It does have a lot of pack offers. I think this game is incredibly free-to-play friendly. I know a few friends of mine that are playing this game just completely free-to-play, and are liking it so far. There's not this big emphasis on needing to do that. Also, because of the other servers, like yes, in arena and stuff, when it comes to these games, these are always going to be heavily gated by massive whales, just like my server here. So just keep that in mind. That's just the nature of the business here. But other than that, I think the game has been a lot of fun, especially because, like, me personally, I like the PvE aspects of these games. The PvP stuff is usually the stuff I care about the least. And so it doesn't really bother me that these massive whales just beat me there, because the things I care about is trying to figure out the PvE stuff, like going through and seeing the characters I have and figuring out the challenge of being able to either beat a content or be able to maximize my damage in said content. Like, those are the things that I find fun. So that's why it doesn't bother me as much as it might bother other people. So if you're really like a competitive person, when it comes to that, this is probably not going to be the game for you. So that's pretty much it when it comes to my thoughts on this game. I've been really liking this game. Basically been playing this in IMR a ton recently, but before I brought it to the channel, I wanted to make sure I really liked it before I start making content when it comes to this on the regular. So that's pretty much it when it comes to this video here. I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts on this game. I know a lot of people have been playing this. I know a lot of the raid scene has switched to this game or are playing both simultaneously. So I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts down below. And with that, guys, I'm out of here. Peace.